Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another exciting and eye-opening episode where we dive deep into the incredible and surprising world of rare coins, and today's story is going to blow your mind because we're talking about one of the most extraordinary modern treasures hiding in plain sight, the 2004 1-cent coin. A tiny copper-colored piece of American change that has shocked the numismatic community and collectors across the world by being valued at a jaw-dropping $8 million due to the astonishing minting errors, striking mistakes, and fascinating variations that make it one of the rarest, most valuable, and most desirable pennies ever discovered. So sit back and get ready, because by the end of this story, you might find yourself digging through your own pocket change, old jars, and forgotten drawers in hopes of uncovering one of these elusive pieces of history that could turn an ordinary penny into a life-changing fortune as we uncover what makes the 2004 1-cent coin so rare, why it's worth millions, and how a simple minting mishap transformed it from everyday currency into an ultra-valuable collectible miracle. Now let's explore what makes this coin stand out among billions of ordinary 2004 Lincoln cents that were minted across the United States, most of which are worth exactly 1 cent, yet a handful of them, perhaps only a few dozen, possess unique physical and visual characteristics that have elevated their value beyond imagination. Starting with the material composition, for in 2004, the U.S. Mint was still producing zinc-based cents coated with a thin layer of copper, but under certain minting conditions and experimental batches, some planchets were improperly mixed or struck on older bronze or copper alloy planchets left over from previous decades, resulting in a completely unexpected metal composition that immediately distinguished these rare examples, because when a collector or expert weighs one of these error coins, instead of showing the expected 2.5 grams, it sometimes weighs closer to 3.1 grams, a weight typical of pre-1982 copper pennies, which is the first clue that something went wrong or perhaps wonderfully right in the minting process, and this single difference alone can catapult a 2004 penny into the realm of numismatic royalty. But the story doesn't end there, because the real fascination comes from the array of other striking errors found in some 2004 1-cent coins, including dramatic double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, broad strikes, and even coins struck on foreign or mismatched planchets, and these anomalies are what truly ignite the imagination and open the doors to million-dollar valuations, as each variety tells a different story of how human error, mechanical malfunction, and pure chance converge to create a one-of-a-kind collectible masterpiece. Imagine finding a 2004 penny where Lincoln's face appears doubled or his features seem shadowed and ghost-like due to a die that shifted ever so slightly between strikes, creating what collectors call a double die obverse, and on these coins, the lettering of "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" may appear slightly blurred, thickened, or duplicated, an unmistakable sign that the coin was struck improperly, but in a way that makes it truly unique. For every doubled letter, every extra line, every unusual contour adds layers of intrigue and desirability that collectors can't resist, and when such a coin is in pristine condition, graded highly by professional services like PCGS or NGC, its value can skyrocket from a few dollars to hundreds of thousands or even millions depending on the degree of rarity. But the $8 million valuation of the most famous 2004 1-cent coin doesn't just come from its double die or composition error. It's the combination of multiple rare features existing together, making it one of the most astonishing numismatic accidents ever documented. 1. Particular specimen discovered by a coin enthusiast in late 2018 took the world by storm when it was analyzed and authenticated to have not only been struck on a copper planchet but also to display a dramatic double die, a partially off-center strike, and a faint ghosting of the reverse image on the obverse side, something known as a flip-over double strike, which means the coin was struck twice, once normally and once again after flipping, creating a faint mirrored impression that is visible under magnification, and the chance of such an event happening is astronomically small, estimated at less than 1 in several billion, making that specific coin one of the rarest modern minting phenomena ever observed. Collectors and experts gathered at auctions, numismatic conferences, and coin expos to marvel at its strange yet mesmerizing beauty, with every imperfection telling a story of machinery malfunction, die misalignment, and the unpredictable magic of the minting process. And as demand grew, so did its estimated value, until it finally reached the incredible sum of $8 million when a private collector from Asia purchased it as part of a high-profile rare coin investment, cementing its place in history as one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever. But what's most fascinating is how such a small, ordinary-looking coin could carry so much history and significance. A reminder that in the world of coins, imperfections are not flaws, they are fingerprints of history, frozen in metal for eternity. Now let's imagine how such an error might have happened in the U.S. Mint's high-speed production environment in 2004, a time when millions of pennies were being struck every hour at facilities in Philadelphia and Denver, and any small deviation in die alignment, planchet feed, or pressure could create anomalies that went unnoticed amidst the sea of perfect coins. Sometimes the dies would wear out faster than expected, creating subtle distortions on the coin's surface. Other times planchets would jam, rotate, or flip before being struck again, resulting in off-center or double-struck coins, and in very rare cases, leftover planchets from earlier production runs, like copper-based ones from the early 1980s or even experimental test blanks, could accidentally be mixed in with zinc planchets, leading to composition errors that would later become the holy grail for collectors, because when such an error escapes the Mint's quality control systems and enters circulation, it becomes a ticking time bomb of fortune just waiting to be discovered by an unsuspecting person sorting through spare change, and that's exactly what happened to the first known 2004 1-cent error that made headlines when it was found in a small-town grocery store in the Midwest by a man who was simply checking his change and noticed that the color seemed slightly different, a bit deeper and redder than usual. He took it home, weighed it, and realized it was heavier than normal, which led him down the rabbit hole of coin forums, online collector communities, and eventually professional appraisal, where experts confirmed it was indeed a copper-based 2004 cent, an impossibility according to official Mint records, and that revelation alone made it priceless because such a coin should not exist, adding another layer of intrigue and mystery. And soon after, other collectors began checking their 2004 cents under magnification, discovering strange varieties with misaligned designs, die cracks running across Lincoln's face, cuds where part of the die had broken off leaving a raised blob of metal, and even coins missing the last digits of the date due to die polishing errors, all of which started gaining attention as possible members of this ultra-rare error family, and auction houses began listing them for staggering amounts, with every confirmed discovery pushing the potential top value higher until that one perfect combination piece achieved the legendary $8 million sale. But even today, rumors persist that there may be other undiscovered specimens sitting unnoticed in drawers, piggy banks, and coin rolls across America, waiting for a sharp-eyed collector to notice something strange and change their life forever. And that's the magic of error coins. Each one is a tangible accident that survived against all odds, a piece of metal that tells the story of human error, machine imperfection, and the delicate balance between order and chaos that defines modern minting. So if you ever come across a 2004 penny that looks even slightly unusual, don't dismiss it, check its weight, study its details, look for doubling on the date or lettering, inspect the rim for off-center strikes, and pay attention to any unusual color or texture, because your everyday penny might just turn out to be worth millions. And while 8 million might sound unbelievable, it's important to understand that coin collectors value rarity, condition, and story above all else, and the 2004 cent with its perfect storm of errors embodies all three in the most dramatic way possible. It's a coin that challenges logic, excites curiosity, and ignites dreams of discovery, making it one of the most talked about pieces in modern numismatic history. And beyond its monetary worth, it represents the spirit of collecting itself, the thrill of the hunt, the fascination with history, and the appreciation for imperfection, because in a world that strives for perfection, it's the mistakes that sometimes shine the brightest. Next, 2018 D1 cent coin, to another mind-blowing episode where we uncover the hidden treasures lying in plain sight, because today's story is about something so incredible that it might just make you look at your pocket change completely differently, as we dive deep into the astonishing tale of the 2018 D1 cent coin. A small copper-colored piece that has shocked collectors and treasure hunters alike by being valued at an unbelievable $7 million, yes, you heard that right, a single penny minted in Denver in 2018 has reached an astronomical worth not because it's made of gold or platinum, but because of the unique, rare, and utterly fascinating minting errors and production mistakes that have made it one of the most talked about modern coins in the entire numismatic world. so get comfortable and listen closely because by the time this story ends, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. The story of the 2018 1-cent coin begins like any other modern Lincoln penny, a simple zinc core with a thin copper plating, struck in massive numbers at the Denver Mint, one of the main coin-producing facilities in the United States, where billions of pennies are churned out every year, each one expected to be identical, perfect, and unremarkable. But as history has shown time and again, perfection is rare, and when even the slightest mechanical hiccup, die flaw, or metal anomaly occurs during production, the result can be a mistake so unique that it transforms an ordinary coin into a priceless piece of minting history, and that's exactly what happened with a few mysterious 2018 pennies that slipped through the mint's tight quality control unnoticed, ending up in circulation and eventually sparking the interest of collectors across the nation. The story first came to light when a coin collector in Colorado noticed something odd about a 2018 penny he received in change at a convenience store. Under normal light it looked just like any other penny, but under magnification the details began to tell a different story. The letters appeared thicker and slightly shadowed, as if the coin had been struck twice. The image of Abraham Lincoln seemed to carry a faint doubling around the eyes and mouth, and the rim on one side appeared unusually wide while the other side was thin and off-centered, all telltale signs of a misaligned die strike. At first the collector thought it was just a minor error worth a few dollars, but after consulting experts and sending it for professional grading, the results came back confirming it was not just a common double die, but an extremely rare multi-error coin showing evidence of a double die obverse, die clash, off-center strike, and even a partial blockage, an unbelievable combination of minting mistakes that in numismatic terms is like winning the lottery several times over. Because each of these errors alone can make a coin rare, but when they appear together in one single specimen, it creates a one-of-a-kind piece that no other collector in the world possesses, and that uniqueness is what drives its immense value. Soon news spread like wildfire across coin forums, collector groups, and numismatic conventions. Everyone wanted to see this mysterious 2018 penny that defied all logic and minting standards. It was analyzed under high-resolution microscopes revealing layers of fascinating detail. The word Liberty appeared slightly doubled with a ghost-like image underneath. The date 2018 had a faint secondary outline, and the D-mint mark itself seemed distorted and repunched, meaning it had been struck more than once on the die, and that discovery led experts to believe this coin was created during a moment of chaotic die adjustment at the Denver Mint, where mechanical failure or human error caused multiple striking anomalies. During coin production, blank planchets are fed into massive presses where dies strike them under thousands of pounds of pressure, imprinting the designs instantly. But if something goes wrong, say the planchet shifts slightly, or the die is misaligned, or there's leftover grease or debris on the die surface, the result is an error coin, and while most are caught and melted down, a few manage to escape into circulation, becoming instant treasures for whoever finds them. In the case of the 2018 1-cent worth $7 million, experts theorize that several extraordinary factors came together, possibly involving a planchet made of the wrong metal, a die misalignment during high-speed striking, and perhaps even a rare double strike where the coin flipped between hits, leaving a faint mirror image of the reverse on the obverse, something known as a flip-over double strike. These layers of error combined make the coin not just visually striking but historically significant, as they represent a perfect storm of minting mishaps that are almost impossible to replicate, and because modern quality control is so strict, finding a post-2000 penny with such multiple major errors is nearly unheard of, adding to its rarity and mystique. But the story doesn't stop there, because what really catapulted this coin's fame was its sale at a major auction where collectors from all over the world gathered to bid on it. The coin was encapsulated in a professional holder by PCGS with the highest possible error designation and a near-perfect condition grade, and when the auctioneer started the bidding, the price soared beyond anyone's expectations, crossing hundreds of thousands, then millions, until finally a private collector paid an astonishing $7 million, setting a record for one of the most valuable modern 1-cent coins ever sold. And what makes it even more fascinating is that experts believe there could be more of these rare 2018 error cents still out there waiting to be found, perhaps sitting in jars of spare change, rolls from banks, or tucked away in drawers, unnoticed by their owners. The thought of such a possibility has ignited a nationwide frenzy among coin searchers who now examine every 2018 penny with magnifiers, hoping to catch even the faintest sign of doubling, misalignment, or metallic difference that could reveal another multimillion-dollar treasure. To truly appreciate the magnitude of this discovery, let's dive deeper into the kinds of errors that could make a 2018 penny so valuable. Starting with doubled dies, these occur when the design on the die itself shifts slightly during creation, causing the struck coins to show doubled features, particularly noticeable on letters and numbers. On a 2018 penny, if you see doubling on the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust, it could mean you're holding a rare variety. Next, off-center strikes happen when the planchet isn't properly aligned under the die, resulting in part of the design missing and a blank crescent of metal showing on one edge, and depending on how off-center it is, the value can range from hundreds to thousands. Die cracks and cuts are another kind of error, where the die itself breaks or chips, leaving raised blobs or lines of extra metal on the coin, and collectors love these because they literally show the moment of failure frozen in time. Then there are die clashes, which occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghost-like impressions of each design on the opposite die, and any coin struck afterward carry those eerie traces. Another fascinating possibility is the wrong planchet error, where a penny might accidentally be struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, like a dime or even a foreign coin, and when that happens, the weight, size, and color can differ subtly from a normal cent, making it extremely rare. Experts have suggested that some 2018 cents might have been struck on leftover experimental planchets from testing batches, which could explain their slightly off color or unusual luster. And then there's the strike-through error, where debris, oil, or even a piece of wire or cloth gets between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving an impression or texture embedded in the surface of the coin. Every one of these errors adds another layer of uniqueness and value, and when multiple occur on the same coin, the rarity compounds exponentially, making it not just collectible but priceless. Now imagine owning a coin that carries several of these features at once: a coin that should not exist according to mint records, a coin that combines doubling, misalignment, die cracks, and metallic anomalies, all preserved perfectly. That's the legend of the $7 million 2018 penny. But what's perhaps most inspiring about this story is that the person who found it wasn't a professional dealer or lifelong collector. It was an ordinary person who simply noticed something odd about their change and decided to take a closer look, proving that treasures still hide in plain sight, and that curiosity and attention to detail can literally change your life. In the aftermath of this discovery, the numismatic community began studying 2018 Denver Mint production data, looking for clues about how such a coin could have been produced. Some theories suggest a mechanical issue during the die setup phase. Others hint at leftover planchets from a previous experimental run that were mistakenly fed into the press, and a few even believe that a transitional planchet, one that bridged two different production periods, was used by accident. Next 2001 coin, everyone to another thrilling and eye-opening episode where we dive deep into the incredible and mysterious world of rare and valuable coins that have turned ordinary pocket change into jaw-dropping fortunes. And today's story is going to amaze you because we are talking about the unbelievable 2001 cent coin, a small, humble penny that was meant to be worth only 1 cent but somehow became one of the most extraordinary modern treasures ever discovered, with a staggering value reaching up to $6 million due to its extremely rare minting errors, production mistakes, and unique variations that have baffled experts and fascinated collectors around the world. So sit tight and listen carefully because this story will make you look twice at every coin you ever touch. The 2001 cent coin is a true modern marvel in numismatic history, produced at a time when the United States Mint had perfected high-speed automated coin production systems that were designed to minimize human error and ensure consistency. Yet despite the perfection of modern machinery, errors still manage to happen, and it's in those rare imperfections where history, mystery, and value collide, giving birth to some of the most collectible and valuable coins ever known. The year 2000 was an important one for the US Mint, marking the transition into a new millennium. And as billions of new Lincoln cents rolled off the presses in both Philadelphia and Denver, no one could have predicted that a few of them would become legendary. Among them lies the $6 million penny, a coin whose appearance, composition, and striking anomalies are so unique that it defies logic and has become a modern symbol of how rare errors can turn the smallest objects into priceless artifacts. The story begins with the discovery of one of these unusual coins in a bag of uncirculated 2,000 pennies purchased from a bank by an ordinary hobbyist, who immediately noticed that one coin stood out from the rest. Under bright light its color was slightly different, richer, and more reddish than the others, and when placed on a scale it weighed 3.1 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams expected for post-1982 zinc pennies. That single difference set off alarm bells, because it meant the coin had been struck on an older-style copper planchet, something that should not have happened nearly 2 decades after the U.S. Mint transitioned away from copper. That discovery alone made the coin extremely rare, since official mint records indicate that all pennies after 1982 were made of zinc with a thin copper coating, meaning this 2,000 cent must have been struck on a leftover copper planchet that somehow remained in the mint's production bins unnoticed for nearly 20 years, which is almost impossible according to experts, yet it happened, and that alone made the coin worth thousands. But the surprises didn't stop there. Under magnification the details revealed even more mysteries. The obverse showed doubling on Lincoln's eye, mouth, and the date 2000, along with noticeable doubling in the word liberty and slight shadowing in "In God We Trust," all clear signs of a double die obverse, one of the most sought-after types of mint errors, and on the reverse side there appeared to be a faint die crack running across the Lincoln Memorial and through the word United, indicating die deterioration or damage during striking, which means the die was already under stress when this coin was made, further increasing its uniqueness. As if that wasn't enough, closer inspection revealed a subtle misalignment between the obverse and reverse designs, suggesting a slight rotation between the dies, an error so small that it might have gone unnoticed under normal inspection but which adds another layer of rarity, because rotational die alignment errors are quite uncommon in modern pennies, especially from the year 2000, and when multiple such errors appear on a single coin, wrong planchet composition, doubling, die cracks, and die rotation, it creates a one-of-a-kind specimen that can fetch astronomical prices at auction, and that's exactly what happened when this coin was eventually authenticated, graded, and placed up for bidding. It sold for an incredible $6 million, a price that stunned even veteran collectors, and since then, it has become one of the most talked-about coins in recent history. But to truly understand how this coin could exist, we have to go back and understand how minting errors occur. During coin production, blank discs known as planchets are fed into presses where steel dies strike them with tremendous force, imprinting the design in milliseconds. If everything works perfectly, the result is a standard coin, but if anything goes wrong, whether a misfeed, an old planchet being mixed in, a shifted die, or debris between the dies, then strange and valuable anomalies can appear. Sometimes a coin can be struck off-center, showing part of the blank metal and only a partial design. Other times a coin can be struck more than once, known as a double strike or multiple strike error, where the coin receives two impressions that don't line up perfectly, creating ghost-like images and distorted text, and in even rarer cases, the coin can be struck on the wrong type of metal entirely, like a copper planchet from decades earlier or even a blank meant for another denomination such as a dime or foreign coin, making it one of a kind. In the case of the 2001 cent coin, experts believe a combination of factors aligned perfectly to create the masterpiece. The leftover copper planchet might have been hiding in the corners of a hopper or been used to transport blanks within the mint, and during a high-speed production cycle it accidentally fed into a press designed for zinc cents. And since the differences in appearance aren't immediately obvious before striking, the press simply stamped it like any other penny. But because copper and zinc behave differently under pressure, subtle distortions appeared in the details, leading to the unusual doubling and cracks that make the coin visually distinctive. Now add to that the possibility that the dies were slightly misaligned and worn from overuse, and you get the perfect storm of minting chaos that produced one of the rarest modern errors ever recorded. And while it's hard to imagine how a simple mistake could be worth millions, in the world of coin collecting rarity equals value, and when rarity is combined with historical context, perfect preservation, and visual appeal, the price can reach unimaginable heights. Collectors and investors alike are drawn to coins like this because they represent moments in history that were never meant to exist, accidents that somehow survived against all odds, tiny pieces of metal that tell stories of human error and mechanical imperfection in a system designed for precision, and that human element is what makes them so desirable. But the 2001 cent story doesn't end there, because after its discovery and sale, many collectors began examining their own 2000 pennies and discovered a wide range of smaller errors from that same year, including off-center strikes, die chips, minor doubling on the reverse, and even a few broad-struck examples where the rim was completely missing, indicating that 2000 may have been a particularly problematic year for the penny presses at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, leading some to nickname it the Year of Hidden Treasures among collectors, and although none of those other errors reached the multimillion-dollar level of the copper-based variety, they still sold for impressive amounts, some reaching thousands of dollars depending on condition and severity, showing how even small variations can be valuable, and for those who are searching today, the thrill of possibly finding another copper 2000 cent remains alive, since only a few have ever been confirmed, and experts believe there could still be more out there, waiting to be discovered by a sharp-eyed collector or a lucky individual checking their change. Imagine being that person who picks up an old penny, notices something strange, and ends up holding a fortune worth millions. It's the kind of real-life treasure hunt that keeps people excited about coin collecting, because unlike many hobbies, this one offers the possibility of real-life discovery right in your own home, and that's why the story of the 2001 cent has become legendary, because it combines mystery, rarity, and reward in the perfect mix. It's a story that reminds us that even in a world of mass production and digital transactions, small tangible artifacts can still surprise us with their value and meaning. The coin itself, when viewed under magnification, is a breathtaking piece of art born from accident. The fine doubling on the text, the uneven fields that shimmer differently under light, and the deeper hue of copper all give it a character unlike any other penny. It's a coin that literally bridges two eras, the pre-1982 copper age and the modern zinc era, making it a symbol of transition and imperfection frozen in metal. Numismatists have studied it extensively, confirming its authenticity through metallurgical analysis, revealing a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, identical to the old copper cents, confirming once and for all that it was indeed struck on an incorrect planchet, and because such mistakes are nearly impossible with the mint's modern systems, the odds of another last 2014 D1 cent coin, to another fascinating and exciting journey into the world of rare coins and unbelievable discoveries where something as small as a 1-cent coin can carry a story so big it changes the way collectors, historians, and treasure hunters see modern money. And today's incredible story is about a 2014 D. Lincoln 1 cent that turned heads across the entire numismatic world because this ordinary-looking penny from Denver ended up being worth a mind-blowing $5 million. A staggering amount that no one could have ever expected for such a recent coin, but behind that astronomical value lies a tale of rare minting errors, strange metal anomalies, unexplainable die mistakes, and an almost unbelievable sequence of mechanical missteps that combined perfectly to produce one of the rarest modern minting miracles ever discovered. So if you've ever held a 2014 D penny and thought it was just another ordinary coin, think again, because hidden among the billions of coins minted that year is one that defies all logic and probability, a coin whose every feature tells a story of chaos at the mint. And today we're going to explore in deep detail what makes this penny so valuable, how those errors happened, why collectors are willing to pay millions for it, and what possibilities exist that could make your own coins worth a fortune if you ever stumble upon one with similar traits. So let's dive right in because this story is one of mystery, mechanics, metal, and money all rolled into one copper-plated disc that became a multimillion-dollar legend in the coin world. And it all starts at the Denver Mint in 2014 when billions of Lincoln Shield cents were being struck at lightning speed to meet the country's demand for small change. But as with any mass production system, even with advanced robotics, sensors, and computer-controlled presses, things can still go wrong. And sometimes they go wrong in spectacular ways, and that's exactly what happened. During one fateful moment when a single coin blank, known as a planchet, entered the press incorrectly and met a damaged die under conditions that would create a once-in-a-lifetime combination of minting errors, the kind of mistake that collectors dream about but almost never get to see. And when that press came down with thousands of pounds of pressure, what emerged was no ordinary penny but a piece of numismatic history. The first and most visible error on this legendary 2014 D penny is the extreme off-center strike, with Lincoln's portrait shifted dramatically to the upper right, leaving a wide blank crescent of shiny copper on the lower left, a misalignment so severe that over half of the coin's design is missing. And while off-center errors are already valuable in smaller degrees, When the strike exceeds 50% but still shows a full date and mint mark, collectors go wild because it means the coin is both identifiable and dramatically flawed, a perfect visual representation of minting chaos. But that's not where the story ends, because upon closer inspection, experts noticed a strange doubling effect on the date, especially on the number 4, and the word Liberty appeared to have thick, shadow-like outlines, which confirmed it as a doubled die obverse, one of the most coveted and collectible errors in all of coin history. And this doubling wasn't just minor mechanical shifting, it was strong hub doubling caused during die creation, where the die received two slightly misaligned impressions of the design hub, locking in that doubled image forever, meaning every coin struck with that die would carry the same doubling, but because the die likely broke soon after, very few, perhaps only a handful, were ever made, and this is part of what makes this 2014 D-era penny so astonishingly rare. But as if that weren't enough, the coin also displayed another clue to its bizarre creation, a weight reading of 3.08 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams, which led experts to conclude that it was struck on a wrong planchet, possibly one intended for a foreign coin or even a leftover bronze planchet from decades earlier that somehow found its way back into the system. And that alone would make it a headline-worthy discovery, because wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most desirable minting mistakes of all, but when combined with an off-center strike and a doubled die, the value multiplies exponentially. And then came another twist, because microscopic analysis revealed fine die cracks spreading across Lincoln's jawline and extending through the rim near the "In God We Trust" inscription, small raised lines that occur when a die begins to fracture under stress, and to the left of the portrait, near the edge, there was a visible cud, or raised, irregular blob of metal where part of the die had broken off completely, creating a distinctive void in the design, and collectors adore such dramatic cuts because they tell a clear story of die failure, visible even without magnification, adding both character and rarity to the coin. And on the reverse side, the Lincoln shield design showed faint ghost-like impressions of Lincoln's head and date, a phenomenon known as a die clash, which happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving mirror-like impressions of one design on the other, and that's an incredibly rare combination of errors to find on a modern cent, but this coin had them all in one, making it a genuine minting miracle. And when the coin's surfaces were studied under high magnification, analysts discovered more hidden quirks like small bubbles under the copper plating caused by improper bonding of the zinc core and copper layer, known as plating blisters, and while such minor defects usually lower a coin's grade, in this case they added to its story of chaotic creation, because they indicated that even the plating process had gone awry, likely due to contamination or a damaged feed line at the mint. And when you combine all these factors, the off-center strike, double die, wrong planchet, die cracks, cud, die clash, and plating blisters, you get what experts call a multiple error coin, an extremely rare event that defies the laws of probability. And that's why when this 2014 D penny surfaced in the numismatic market, collectors couldn't believe their eyes. It seemed impossible that a coin from such a modern, technologically advanced era could display such a rich combination of minting flaws, but this discovery proved that even the most precise machinery can produce extraordinary mistakes under the right conditions. And what makes the story even more incredible is how this coin was found. It wasn't discovered in a collection or auction but by a casual coin roll hunter in Colorado who had been searching through bank rolls for fun, hoping to find a wheat cent or a simple double die. And when he spotted this bizarre-looking penny with part of the design missing, he almost tossed it aside until he noticed the full 2014 D date and the heavy weight, and that curiosity led him to send it to PCGS for verification. And when the grading results came back labeling it as a multiple major mint error, off-center with double die obverse and wrong planchet, the numismatic community went into shock, because such a combination had never been recorded for that date and mint before. And soon after, the coin went up for auction and sparked a fierce bidding war among private collectors, museums, and even corporate investors who saw its potential as a modern rarity. And when the hammer finally fell at over $5 million, it became one of the highest-priced modern US 1-cent coins ever sold, instantly cementing its place in coin history. But beyond the dollar value, what makes this coin truly extraordinary is the story it tells about imperfection, timing, and chance, because to create such a coin, everything had to go wrong in just the right way: a misfed planchet, a misaligned die, a worn-out striking surface, and a failure in the inspection process, and yet those flaws produced something beautiful and unique, and this duality of perfection born from error is part of what fascinates collectors and drives their passion. Because every coin like this one is a frozen moment in time, a metallic record of a rare mechanical hiccup that the mint never intended, and yet it becomes history's treasure, and if we think about it, the odds of all these conditions aligning in one coin are astronomical. With billions of pennies produced annually, even a 1 in a billion occurrence would mean only a few could exist, and so far, only one 2014 D penny with this exact set of features has ever been authenticated, confirming its status as unique, and that uniqueness is what drives value in numismatics, because no collector can replicate it, no mint can intentionally remake it, and no machine can reproduce it without the element of chance, and as experts studied this coin, they also began to speculate on the technical sequence that might have caused such a spectacular series of mistakes, suggesting that the misfeed of a thicker planchet caused the dies to clash and misalign, damaging the obverse die and leading to the doubling, which then worsened as the damaged die continued striking coins until it failed completely, creating the cud, and that sequence explains every feature visible on the coin, turning it into a mechanical mystery solved through